Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope all is well for you and yours as you are sequestered wherever you are. Some people are still having to get out and work and do different things. I just want to encourage you, be praying for our healthcare workers and people working in grocery stores and truck drivers, people who are really taking care of us. The infrastructure of our supply chain is pretty amazing here in the United States. Be praying for everybody in leadership. Pray for our president, whether you voted for him or not. He needs wisdom. So this is a time for us to come together, all right? So let's just pray for everyone who is leadership and making decisions that are going to affect us, because our economy is in the balance with the health of everything else, you know what I mean? So these are tough choices. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. It's these morning devotionals we are doing just to stay connected with our people and friends and family, to encourage you, make sure that you're looking at the big picture and not just getting focused on the here and now. God sees everything from the beginning to the end, and he's not limited to just space and time like we are. So it can be overwhelming for us, but when you step back and you see that God's in charge and that we're gonna get through this. We've been through a lot of different things, right? And we're still here. As long as God's got a plan for us, then we know that we're okay. So I just want to challenge you with that. So I'm looking at Psalm 9 and 10, and I'm going to focus on 10. And, as I've been going through this, I've been trying to pull out Psalms that are real encouraging. And, this morning, we've been in this thing for a season now, and you get past the initial shock of it, and you kind of come up with this new norm. And then it gives you an opportunity to evaluate where we are in our life and our journey, especially in our relationship with Christ. And in this psalm, it's Psalm 10 in particular. The author, we're not sure who wrote this one, and it's in the middle of all these Psalms of David. But he starts off and he says, "Why, O Lord, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble?" And I think a lot of people are kind of asking that question. And then he kind of talks about an interesting thing. He talks about the enemy that's within. And this kind of points to all of us. And for me, all right, and this is how I'm looking at it, is I'm looking at it in terms of my own enemy inside of me, right? The flesh, the carnal man that lives in all of us that we're supposed to crucify daily, right? I am the righteousness of Christ. I'm a son of the Most High God. I know all of that positionally who I am. But I also know that if I feed the old man, then the desires of the flesh, the old man, those things resurrect themselves, even for the believer. And so he says this, he says all this, "Why do you stand so far off?" And then verse 2, he says, "In his arrogance, the wicked man hunts down the weak, who are caught in the schemes that he devises. He boasts, and he boasts of the cravings of his heart. He blesses the greedy and reviles God. In his pride, the wicked do not seek him. In all of his thoughts, there is no room for God. His ways are always prosperous. He's haughty, and the laws of God are far from him. He sneers at all of his enemies. He says to himself, 'Nothing will shake me. I'll always be happy and never have trouble.' His mouth is full of curses and lies and threats. Trouble and evil are under his tongue. He lies in waits near the village to ambush and murder the innocent, watching for secret visions." So then he goes on and he talks about other things that he does that are just there. But he says this, he says to himself in verse 11, "God has forgotten, he covers his face, and he never sees." All right? So, excuse me. The interesting thing is that you look at this and he's talking, this is a person who's really rejecting the things of God. And I know that in my own life, there's times where we can get proud and arrogant, and we get to the place to where it's like, I believe in God, but God is kind of secondary. He's kind of this background thing in my life. And I think in seasons like this, it helps us to look at our life and reevaluate and bring God to the forefront of our relationship with him, to the forefront of our mind, to the forefront of the situation, and understand that God has a plan for us. I don't want to get to a place to where my own human arrogance gets me to a place where I think that I can do it all on my own. And I think that's where a lot of us have been, because we've been so blessed as Americans, and we had so much prosperity that, even those of us that have struggled, compared to the rest of the world, we're unbelievably blessed. And so I think it's time for us to really get our relationship and our focus back on the Lord, get into his word, and let his word be the guiding force in our life, right? And I just want to encourage you, in this season, we have an opportunity to kind of reevaluate things, to get things right. Take spiritual inventory and say, okay, Lord, what do I need to surrender fully to you? And during this time, instead of us just getting stressed and worried and freaked out about everything around us, let's say, God, I want to develop my walk with you, that when we come out of this thing, I'm going to come out of it different. All right. I'm going to come out of it closer to you. I'm going to come out of it with a stronger faith. I'm going to come out of it with a more sincere and humble heart, and looking to my God, the author and the finisher of my faith, knowing that he's the one that's going to bring me through. And I think if we do that, then this season becomes the benefit to us. You know what I mean? Where it says he causes all things to work together for good. The coronavirus isn't good, right? But for the believer, if we use this season to allow God to speak to us, to grow us, to shape us, to encourage us, then the good that comes out of it is a positive thing. And if we can look for that, then we're going to come out of this thing stronger, and our focus is going to be right, and our relationship with the Lord is going to be so much stronger. All right. So I'm a little preachy today, but I just want you to use this time successfully. Build on your relationships. Get God in the center of everything, the center of your marriage, the center of your family, the center of all your relationships. Get your thought life right. And let's come out of this place believing that God has a plan and we're going to make an impact. All right. Lord bless you. Have a fabulous day. Keep the faith. You hear me? We're going to get through it okay. God's on the throne. We're okay. All right. We'll talk to you soon.